Hello friends, this is my last word before I head off to Cumbernauld, hopefully to return in 6 weeks. Really I'm speaking to those that weren't able to make it on the Vision Day last Sunday. We began by talking about just the amazing things that the Lord has done in Kiltarlity over the last several years, and our expectation and hope that these things continue and that they increase. We then talked about this next year, what we're going to focus on as a church is discipleship. We really want to strengthen the core of this church and prepare ourselves, the church, to be able to do the ministry that the Lord's going to hopefully have us do in the coming years. I'm asking all members of the church, and by members I just mean Christians who are committed to Kiltarlity, to really dedicate themselves in 3 ways to discipleship over the next year. There's 3 things, in other words, I'm asking you to do. The first thing is I'm asking everybody to commit to a reading plan with the Bible. There are 2 options that I'm giving people. Some people have their own reading plan already, and if you do, that's just fine. Other people, though, depend on a devotional rather than reading God's Word itself. If you don't have a reading plan of the Bible, I'm presenting 2 options. One is a light option. All it is 5 minutes, 5 days a week. If you follow it through, it'll take you through the whole of the New Testament in the course of a year. If you want a heavier option, there's another reading plan. It's a well-known one. It's the Robert Murray McCheyne reading plan. It'll take you through the whole of the Bible in a year. The Old Testament once, the New Testament twice, and the Psalms twice. And there's actually a group of people within the church going through that one. So if you want some companionship on the way, you can join them. So the first thing, again, it's a reading plan. The second thing I'm asking is for everybody to read and hopefully to reread the book of the year. Now, the book of the year is a book called How People Change by Paul Tripp. I've chosen this book because what it does is it takes the gospel. I mean, we're used to thinking of the gospel as the great story, Jesus' death, his resurrection, his ascension, but it's going to teach us how to apply this and how to really make the gospel the centerpiece of our life, of our relationships, of how we try to change and grow as Christians. So I'm asking everyone to get a copy and to read How People Change by Paul Tripp. And I think James is going to order copies of that. If you're not certain about where you stand in relation to Christ, I have a different book for you. For people kind of still thinking or seeking with regard to faith, I'd like you to read Tim Keller's The Prodigal God. So in other words, we've got 2 books. If you want to read them both, you can. Those that are members in the church, I'm asking you to read How People Change. Those that are still considering the faith, The Prodigal God. So that's the second thing, book of the year. The third thing I'm asking us all to do is to memorize Romans 12. Now, it's not a big thing. It's 1 chapter of the Bible in the course of a whole year, so it's very doable. We're going to find ways to remind ourselves of this. But the reason I'm picking Romans 12 is it really unpacks what I hope becomes the DNA of our church. It's a concrete picture of what an authentic gospel community is supposed to look like. And we want to not just leave that chapter on the page. We want to get it in our heads, we want to get it in our hearts, we want to get it at the center of our community. And by memorizing it, we can do that. So we'll find ways in the courses of the services, Sunday services, maybe to recite a verse every few weeks together to remind ourselves that we're doing this. But I think if we commit to these 3 things, again, it's a reading plan, a daily reading plan, 1 Christian book, and then 1 chapter to memorize over 12 months. If we can do this, I think our church will be strengthened. And I think if we're strengthened, the Lord will increase the kind of ministry that He lets us do for His glory. So there's some other things that were spoken about, but these are the 3 things we're going to begin with. And if you want to think about the rest of the Vision Day, feel free to talk to others in the congregation, and we'll talk more when I return. So every blessing, may the Lord increase and mature your faith, and I fully expect He's got great things for us. Every blessing.